Most people wake up every morning believing that life is something that happens to them rather than something they participate in, and without noticing it, this belief quietly shapes their thoughts, their emotions, and the direction of their days, because long before a life changes on the outside, it always changes on the inside first. And this is the story of how one ordinary person discovered the power of positive thinking and slowly transformed the way he saw himself and the world around him. Ethan lived a life that looked normal from the outside but felt heavy on the inside, a life built on routine, quiet disappointment, and constant self-doubt, where every day felt like a repetition of the last, and every small failure seemed to confirm what he already believed about himself, that he was not good enough, not smart enough, and not meant for anything more. He went to work, did what was required, came home tired, and told himself that success belonged to other people, people with better luck, stronger confidence, or fewer mistakes, and over time these thoughts became so familiar that he stopped questioning them, not realizing that they were slowly shaping his reality. The more he believed he would fail, the more carefully he avoided risks, and the more he avoided risks, the more stuck his life became, until negativity stopped feeling like a problem and started feeling like the truth. One morning, exhausted not from work but from his own thoughts, Ethan paused and noticed how quickly his mind jumped to the worst possible conclusion, how easily one mistake could ruin his entire mood, and for the first time, he wondered whether his thoughts were helping him survive or silently holding him back. That question followed him through the day, and later, during a quiet moment, he came across a simple idea that challenged everything he believed, the idea that thoughts are not facts, but habits, and like any habit, they can be changed. At first, this felt unrealistic, even foolish, because life had not suddenly become easier, and his problems were still there, but instead of forcing happiness, Ethan decided to try something smaller and more honest. He began to notice his thoughts without immediately believing them, and when a negative thought appeared, instead of fighting it, he asked a different question. What can I learn from this? Or, what is one small step I can take right now? This shift did not change his life overnight, but it changed how he experienced it, and slowly, his inner world began to feel less hostile. As days passed, Ethan noticed that he reacted differently to challenges. When something went wrong, he no longer saw it as proof that he was a failure, but as feedback, and when fear appeared, he no longer treated it as a stop sign, but as a signal that growth might be nearby. Positive thinking did not remove discomfort from his life, but it gave him space to breathe within it, and that space allowed him to make better choices. Weeks later, people around him began to notice the change before he did. His posture was more confident, his voice steadier, and his willingness to speak up slowly replaced the habit of staying silent, not because he believed he was perfect, but because he believed he was capable of learning. Then came a moment that tested everything he had practiced, an opportunity that carried risk and responsibility, something the old version of Ethan would have avoided without hesitation, and fear returned, loud and convincing, reminding him of past failures and imagined outcomes. But this time, instead of running, Ethan paused and chose to think differently. He reminded himself that even if he failed, he would not be broken. And that belief gave him the courage to try. The result was not perfect, but it was powerful because for the first time, Ethan felt in control of his response, not his circumstances, and that feeling changed the way he saw himself. Over time, he understood that positive thinking is not about pretending everything is fine or ignoring reality, but about choosing thoughts that move you forward instead of keeping you stuck, because thoughts become habits, habits become actions, and actions quietly shape a life. Ethan's life did not suddenly turn into a success story without struggle, but it became something far more valuable, a life guided by self-trust instead of fear. And this is what the power of positive thinking truly offers, not a perfect life, but a stronger mind. And if you are watching this feeling trapped by your situation, remember this: your thoughts are not your enemy, but they can become your greatest ally. And the moment you choose to believe that change is possible, even in a small way, you take the first step toward becoming someone you have not yet met, but already carry within you.